speaking, at least during the time that I was interviewing for jobs in India, I felt the interviews in India were more technical. I wouldn't say very technical, but they were more technically focused in terms of the knowledge of the candidate. Whereas once that I sat for jobs abroad, those interviews really focused on your personality as to whether you are able to be a good fit within the organization. What is your interpersonal skill? Do you sound confident? Are you the kind that the firm would love to, post you as the key person when it comes to a webinar, when it comes to giving a presentation? So your overall personality had to be really strong, even at a junior associate level. And the way international law firms, of course, technical knowledge is important in any kind of a given scenario, be it India or abroad. But the emphasis on technical knowledge, the way it was laid out is we can teach the candidate how to apply the law or teach the candidate where to find the law. So foreign law firm jobs were more about your personality and how you fitted in the organizations, about your soft skills, and technical skills more seemed like an additional point. Whereas for Indian law firms, at least the time that I was interviewing for, there was a lot of emphasis on knowledge and what technical skills you really brought onto the table. So for the first question, if anyone asks you, tell me something about yourself, I think what's important is for you to have a very good understanding about the job requirements. So tell me something about yourself is a very wide question. You can talk about your hobbies, you can talk about your education background, you can talk about a lot of things. But what you should remain focused on in answering this question is to see what the job requirements are. So read the job advertisement and take out 4 or 5 points or qualities that the job advertisement requires, and then try and match those qualities while answering the question on tell me something about yourself. Your entire focus throughout the entire length and breadth of the interview should be to show your interviewer that you fit and match those job requirements much better, in a much better fashion than any other candidates who are currently sitting for that interview. So if the job requirement is, for example, we want someone who is eager, who's confident, who has organizational skills, you should make a list of those requirements and then tell something about yourself to highlight that you bring those qualities on the table. So if someone says we need someone with great organization skills, start off by saying, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm in so-and-so year of college. And I see from the job requirement that you need someone with great organization skills. And just to give you a little background about myself, I organized these many things while I was continuing my studies in college. Now, one thing you must remember when answering this question is that you shouldn't list out all your qualities or give away all your qualities in that one question and keep speaking and keep speaking and keep speaking. Make sure you highlight or take a step back, think about 4 or 5 different qualities that you bring on the table which best match the job requirement. And your attempt should be to lay down those qualities, bring those qualities to the interviewer's forefront throughout the interview. So don't worry if you're not able to bring all the qualities in your response to that one question, tell me something about yourself. You will have different opportunities in the form of different questions throughout the interview to bring those qualities up. One thing you must remember is that when speaking in an interview, you should not be speaking more than 2 minutes at a stretch. It should be a dialogue between the interviewer and yourself. So do give the interviewer a chance. If you're facing a group of individuals, make eye contact with everyone. If there is a lady interviewing you, along with a few other gentlemen in the meeting, make sure you address the lady first, clearly and coherently, and then speak to the gentleman around. Your focus and your respect should be directed at everyone, irrespective of any rank or importance any of the person interviewing would hold. So one question is, tell me something about yourself. The next common question that you might get is, tell me what are your weaknesses? Now, let me tell you a secret. No one wants to hire a weak candidate. I wouldn't want to hire a weak candidate. So then the question is, ma'am, should I be honest? Yes, you should be absolutely honest. Then you're like, ma'am, you won't hire me if I'm honest. Then why are you telling me to be honest? Well, the point is, you formulate your weaknesses in the form of strengths. And how do you do that? Right? All of you know yourself better than anyone else. So you have to take a step back. Say, for example, if someone tells me, Debolina, what is your weakness? I will say, I'm the kind of person who really takes my responsibility who really takes my responsibility very seriously. And therefore, I start worrying about the task that has been given to me way ahead, even though the deadline may be many days later. I start worrying about it many days ahead so that I'm able to raise the red flags in that particular task that's been given to me much earlier. Now, is that a weakness? It is a weakness because it's causing me worry and tension, and I might pass that worry and tension to my teammates with whom I'm working. But will an employer love someone who starts on the job early? Absolutely. So you see what I'm doing? I am revealing my weakness, but I'm giving it in the form of a strength, in the form of a product that the employer will like. Now, one cardinal rule about interview is exchange positions. So if you were to interview someone, if you were to hire someone, what are the qualities that you would have looked for in that individual? So take a step back, and then after you've exchanged this role, it's very easy for you to figure out what your employer or what your prospective employer is expecting out of you. So if you would have liked someone responsible, make sure you demonstrate with all your achievements in your curriculum vitae as to how you can demonstrate you have been responsible throughout your law school days or if you want someone who is a very good-natured person, how do you demonstrate that? So when you exchange roles, I think the expectation becomes very clear as to what's expected out of you. Third common question that people are often asked, is towards the end of the interview. They ask you, do you have any questions for us? Now, in that question, please never, ever, ever say that, no, I don't have any questions for you, because that shows that you are someone who's not really researched on the company. So that question you can turn to your benefit. If you say, ma'am, throughout the interview, I have tried to demonstrate how I'm one of the most suitable candidates for this particular job. Is there anything else? So the question, you are now turning it into your favor, and you're saying that, is there anything else that you would like to know from me? Or is there any way by which I can show you any quality which you want me to bring to the forefront, which will show you that I am a better and a more suitable candidate than all the others who applied for the job? So if someone says, do you have any questions? Your response ideally should be, yes, I do have questions. And my first question to you is, can I demonstrate to you in any other way, through any other qualities, as to whether as to how I could be a better candidate? So if anything you've not covered during the interview, the interviewer will tell you that, and then your task would be to match that quality requirement by showing any achievement that would match that particular criteria. Another common question that you will face is, why do you want to join us? Right? You have so many other companies. And remember, in this question, all of us love praise, right? We all like hearing good things about yourself. So this is a question where you show the company how much you have researched. If you want something desperately, you would have researched on the persons who, sometimes they tell you who would be interviewing you. In that case, do research on the person. Today, with the availability of platforms like LinkedIn, you can easily search a person and you can easily come to know some basic information about the person. If there is anything common between that person and you, do try to bring that out in the interview. Say, for example, I know someone from an ex-alumni of NUJS is going to interview me for a job, right? Say I come to know through their LinkedIn profile. Try and bring it out in the conversation. It need not be in response to a specific question, but in the many questions that the interviewer will ask you, do try and bring out the fact that you know and you've done the research that that person is from the same university as yours, because it kind of will give you a better connection with the person. There's no question of partiality. I'm not saying that just because an alumni interviews me, there's a greater chance of me getting the job, but definitely there's a greater chance of bonding, and there's a greater chance of relaxation in the interview scenario setting itself. So do research. If you know the person beforehand, I'm not saying you need to know the person personally, but do try and research on the person so that you can find out anything common between them and try and bring it out in the interview. Similarly, not just the people interviewing you, do try and dig out the most recent information about the company that you are going to be sitting for an interview with. So for example, you don't really need to, you need to throw the fact that you know something about them in different questions as a matter of a conversation. Don't wait for the question to come and then say, okay, only when this question comes, I'm going to rattle out what I know about this company. No, you should throw it as a matter of conversation. So say if someone asks, so what are your strengths? So say if we ask Ritu, what are your strengths? And then Ritu in response would say, oh, I have these skills. By the way, I also know that your company recently organized a marathon, and I also, I love participating in marathons. So you see how the connection is drawn. It need not be something even at the legal front. It would be great if you could bring out any legal or official achievement, but it's also great if you're able to connect at a more personal level. So it's very important for you to know what the organization does, what sectors the organization is involved in, and what prizes the organization has received over the years. So when you combine all of this, you want to be able to tell them the reason I want to work for you is because I want to work in a company that gives me exposure in many different avenues. And looking at your profile, which I just checked as recently, which I've been checking for some time now, and also checked just a few days ago, I see you are involved in these streams of activities, and my interest lies in those very sectors that you are involved in. I also see that you've won many prizes, you have found mention in many newspapers about these kind of activities that you do, and I'm interested in those kind of activities also. And because I feel our interest is very similar, I feel I'll be able to contribute in ways and means far above than the other candidates, because these are things I'm really passionate about. So you see, you're not only telling them, an interview shouldn't be a giveaway process. It shouldn't only be, oh, if I join this company, I will get this. If I do this, I will get this. It should be a quid pro quo. You should think how you will also be useful to the company, and you should bring that to the light. It should not only be, oh, your name will look good on my CV. Oh, your company's name will give me better opportunities later. No, don't say that, please, right? So the idea is to also show how if they were to hire you, because you're passionate about those areas of functioning, those areas are your hobbies, something that you've consistently pursued over the many years in college, they will stand to gain by investing in a candidate who brings that much of enthusiasm. I think that will really help you to stand apart from other candidates. How you best prepare for interviews, right? Especially group interviews. I think the best way to prepare for an interview is if you know you're going to sit for an interview in the next 3 months or 2 months, especially a job interview. First and foremost, take it seriously. And what you should do is watch a lot of group discussions, a lot of interviews on television itself. What will happen during the process is you will pick up words phrases, manner of talking, and all the soft skills that you would require to make a good impression about yourself at an interview. So first and foremost, just keep watching a lot of interviews on television, for group discussions also, you'll have all these chat sessions. It's so important to keep yourself abreast with what's currently happening, because more often than not, your group discussion will focus on very current issues or contemporary issues. So you at least need to have 4 or 5 points. Don't try to cram a lot, because I think what most of us do, or I did, especially when I was a student, was to try and list out as many points as possible. And in the process, I either mumbled or fumbled or didn't remember all the points that I had to say. So make sure for every current topic that you think you could be asked a question on, either in an interview or in a group discussion, make sure that you have at least 4 talking points on those topics, right? You wouldn't need more, simply because in an interview, as I said, you shouldn't be speaking for more than 2 minutes at a time. Similarly, in the group discussion, you don't want to be the candidate who's the only one speaking. Group discussion, what it really aims to know is whether you are a good team player or not. And a good team player does not mean that you take away all the praise. You should be seen as someone who's supportive, who gives other people a chance to talk, who fits in words or put words when the other person is mumbling. So you could say, this is what I think. I would love to hear what other people have to say. So you have to come forward. Not only do you have to shine brightly, but the idea of a group discussion is to also make sure others around you also shine brightly. And by giving that opportunity to someone else, you are showing the observer. Remember, when you're having a group discussion, someone from the company will sit at the side and watch you. So your idea is not only to shine brightly, to show that you have the knowledge, but to show that you are a person who supports others. Never interrupt anyone in a group discussion. Let the person have a say, and it's a quality that you will develop. The more shows you watch, the more discussions you yourself participate in. Please wait for that little pause before, when one finishes talking, before jumping in. You don't want to be seen as someone who hushes someone else and is stepping in to speak. A great way to practice group discussion is to be an active participant in your own class discussions. As law students, I would imagine most of you would have classes where you are discussing important news updates, important updates in the world in the class itself. So do try and think about it as a group discussion, as if someone's going to hire you. So try and portray yourself out there as a candidate who is there to support someone else. So the pointers would be, watch as many interviews and group discussions as you can, because unconsciously and subconsciously you'll be picking up words, phrases, and body language that will only help you get better and also confident. As far as knowledge is concerned, pick up 4 or 5 important points for each current topics. Do not speak for more than 2 minutes. You should be seen as not only a leader. So it's okay if you are not the first one to jump onto a call in a group discussion. It's absolutely fine. Don't freak out even if you're the last person to join in. Always try and contribute a little to the conversation, as opposed to saying something very generic like, oh, whatever I want to say, Ritu has already covered it, or Pooja has already covered it, or Shubhankar has already covered it. Do try and add some amount of value. If you really don't know anything about the topic, like worst scenario, you don't know anything about the topic, in that case, it would be good if you prove yourself to be a good listener. What you should do in that case is, if you found certain points very relevant by certain participants, what you should do is try and remember the names of that participants, because that creates a good impression that you do care about others, and then try and associate one point that each of those participants said and weave it together as if you are concluding the group discussion. So idea being, you didn't know anything about the topic, but you are someone who's now kind of summarized what everyone had to say and brought the team together. And in the process, you also proved that you are a very good listener and you took the time to respect, to understand other team members' views and remembered their names. So, but that should be used as a last resort. Do try and bring about certain, like, do try and contribute and make your contribution to the group discussion. There are other few tricks, I would say, that many people use while speaking. You would have noticed that many people say, "Oh, that's a good question that you've asked me. That's an excellent question," or something like that. So do try and pick up these connecting words, as I call it. The idea being that every connecting word gives you some time to think what you want to say, right? Because that gives you that extra 4, 5, 6 seconds to think as to how you're going to formulate your argument. Needless to say, be clear in your thought, be slow in your speaking. When you're slow, you sound more simple. You're also allowing yourself to get more time to think what you want to talk about, and you sound more confident. So please, even if you know the answer, don't go at a speed that no one will understand you. It is better the interviewer takes 2 points of what you want to say across the door, across that table, then you trying to give everything and the interviewer is not able to understand. So these things are as important: the speed with which you speak, the manner with which you speak, the confidence with which you speak, the eye contact that you make, the way you address the members of not just of your friends, who are there. There are so many of the students that I've seen who would jump onto a group discussion without actually wishing people a very good afternoon or wishing everyone all the best for that discussion. So imagine a group where everyone starts speaking on the topic all at once, and imagine another group where a team member steps in and says, "Hey, a very good afternoon to all of you, and I wish all of you the very best, and may we all succeed." See, the emphasis in a group discussion is always on the team. So may we all succeed, and I hope we all come out with great talking points in this group discussion. Come on, let's make it as interesting as possible. You yourself can now determine as to whether that group A, where everyone jumps to talk about the technicalities of the topic, and group B, where someone took the effort to not just be a leader, but also, combine everyone's thought, encourage everyone. You very well know who won that group discussion or who secured a better or made a better impression. So do keep these points in mind. As regards interview preparation, I mean, it's very important to know who is going to interview you, research on the person, as I said, research on the organization. Please dress professionally. It could be an Indian attire, it could be Western attire, doesn't matter. Dress, I'm not saying dress expensively, so don't worry if you don't have expensive branded clothes, no one's going to look at it. What matters is that you present yourself in a clean, professional style. For the women, no dangly earrings and heavy makeup. For men, please go clean shaven. We always appreciate clean shaven men because it kind of shows it's not about looks. Many people have come asking me that, "Ma'am," and it's a very sad question I get, that, "Ma'am, I don't look good, or, I'm more on the heavier side, especially for women. Do you think I can make it up in the corporate world?" Let me tell you, looks, and I repeat, looks have nothing to do with your success. Absolutely nothing. What really matters is your confidence, your ability to bind the team, your ability to motivate others, and your ability to do the job that your boss has asked more efficiently than anyone around. So give away with the fact that, "Oh, I don't look like," who's the Indian hero or heroine you guys follow right now? "Oh, I don't look like that person, so maybe I don't stand a chance as a corporate lawyer." No, nothing of that sort. So what really matters is you present yourself in a clean, professional manner. Because if you don't do that, then that's a problem, because it shows an unorganized mind, and no one wants an unorganized mind in a new setup. Everyone wants someone who's sorted, who is clean, who is professional looking. So that definitely matters. Anticipate the questions that your employer would have asked if you were the employer. If you had that CV and you were trying to interview someone with that kind of a background, what are the questions you would have asked if you were the employer in that particular organization? So change your role. The minute you change the role, I think things become very easy. Would you have liked someone who only said, what are the things that candidate could derive from your organization? Or would you like a candidate who not only says what he can derive out of your organization, but also tells how he can contribute to your organization? So it always has to be a quid pro quo. So do keep these things in mind, and I'm sure all of you will come acing out of your interviews.